Welcome to ZoomInData. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining this detailed session on Azure Functions integration with Azure Services. We will cover integrations with storage, Cosmos DB, Key Vault, API management, logic apps, event grid, cognitive services, monitor, Signal R, Azure Ad B2C, Redis, search, service bus, Blob, Microsoft Graph, IoT Hub, DevOps, Data Lake, SQL, Power Automate, Communication Services, Maps, Security Techniques, and Best Practices for building robust solutions. If you are preparing for certification, an interview, or designing real-world Azure architectures, this session will give you clear, ready-to-use knowledge. If you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to ZoomInData for more Azure deep dives. Let us begin. How do Azure Functions integrate with Azure Storage? Azure Functions integrates seamlessly with Azure Storage using built-in input and output bindings for blob, queue, and table storage. Blob bindings let you read or write blobs directly in function code. No need for manual SDK calls in many cases. Queue bindings trigger functions when new messages arrive and allow sending messages as output, perfect for decoupled workflows. Table bindings support reading entities by key or query and writing, updating rows, ideal for simple key value lookups or logging. Explain Cosmos DB integration patterns. Cosmos DB change feed trigger fires your function whenever documents are inserted or updated in a container. Great for real-time ETL or event sourcing. Input bindings let you read one document by ID or run a query at function execution time. Useful for lookups. Output bindings automatically insert or update documents from your function return value or parameter. Simplifies writes. Always use managed identity for secure access. Avoid connection strings in app settings or code. How do you use Key Vault in Functions? Enable managed identity on your function app. System assigned is simplest for most cases. Grant the identity get, list permissions on Key Vault secrets via RBAC role assignment. Reference secrets in app settings using at Microsoft.KeyVault syntax. Example, my API key, at Microsoft.KeyVault, vault name equals my vault, secret name equals API key. The runtime fetches secrets securely at startup or on demand. No secrets ever appear in logs or code. What is API management integration? Azure API Management, APIM, acts as a secure, governed gateway in front of your function's HTTP endpoints. Import your function app as a backend in APIM. It auto-discovers functions and generates API definitions. Add policies for rate limiting, JWT validation, IP filtering, caching, and transformation. Expose APIs with subscription keys. Clients get analytics, monitoring, and protection without exposing function keys directly. Explain logic apps calling functions. Logic apps call Azure Functions using the built-in Azure Functions connector or a direct HTTP action. Pass parameters in the request body and receive synchronous or asynchronous results. Use managed identity for secure calls. No function keys or secrets needed. This pattern is ideal for orchestrating complex workflows. Logic apps handle flow. Functions handle custom code or compute. How do functions trigger logic apps? Functions trigger logic apps by sending an HTTP post to the logic app's HTTP request trigger endpoint. Get the URL from the Logic Apps Designer. It includes a SAS key for security. Use HTTP client or SDK in your function code to send payload and headers. Secure with Entra ID token validation in Logic Apps for production scenarios. Describe Event Grid integration. Event Grid publishes events from Azure services. Functions subscribe via Event Grid trigger for reactive, event-driven architecture. Events arrive with low latency, ideal for high-scale, real-time processing. Functions can publish events back to Event Grid for fan-out to multiple subscribers. Use dead letter queues and retry policies to handle failed deliveries reliably. How do you use cognitive services from functions? Call cognitive services, computer vision, text analytics, speech, etc., using REST APIs or SDKs. Use Managed Identity or API key from Key Vault for secure authentication. Process images, text, or audio in real-time or batch. Return enriched data. Use bindings or output to Blob, Cosmos for storing results. Explain Azure Monitor alerts from functions. Azure Monitor collects metrics and logs from functions. Create alerts on failures, high latency, throttling, or execution spikes. Use application insights for advanced alerts on exceptions, cold starts, or dependency failures. Set action groups to send notifications via email, Teams, SMS, or webhook. Example: alert when failed executions exceed 5 in 5 minutes. Include Run ID for quick drill down. What is SignalR integration for real-time? Azure SignalR service enables real-time, bidirectional communication from functions to clients. Functions act as SignalR hubs, send messages to connected clients or groups. Use output bindings to broadcast or send targeted messages from triggers. Ideal for live dashboards, chat, notifications, or collaborative apps. How do you integrate with Azure Ad B2C? Use EasyAuth with Azure Ad B2C as the identity provider. Configure B2C app registration and add it as a provider in function app authentication. EasyAuth validates tokens and passes user claims in request headers. Use claims for custom authorization logic inside your function. Explain Azure Cache for Redis usage. Azure Cache for Redis provides distributed caching to reduce latency and external calls. Connect using Managed Identity or Access Key from Key Vault. Use Stack Exchange, Redis client in code or Redis output binding for simple scenarios. Ideal for session state, rate limiting, or caching frequent database or API results. How do you use Azure Search from functions? Use Azure Cognitive Search SDK or REST API with Managed Identity for secure access. Index data from Blob or Cosmos DB change feed triggers. Query the search index from HTTP or timer functions. Return enriched search results to clients or store in downstream systems. What is Service Bus integration patterns? Service Bus triggers fire when new messages arrive in queues or topics. Output bindings send messages to queues or topics automatically. Use sessions for ordered processing or duplicate detection. Combine with fan-out, fan-in for parallel message processing at scale. Explain Blob storage output bindings. Blob output bindings write data to blobs automatically from function return values or parameters. Use path templates with dynamic values. Example: output / opening curly bracket name closing curly bracket dash opening curly bracket timestamp closing curly bracket .txt. Supports text, binary, and stream output for flexibility. Ideal for logging, report generation, or storing process data. How do you integrate with Microsoft Graph? Use Microsoft Graph SDK or REST API with managed identity for secure authentication. Grant graph permissions to the function app identity via Entra ID. Call graph endpoints to read or write Microsoft 365 data, emails, calendar, Teams, files. Ideal for automation workflows involving Office 365. Describe IoT Hub routing to functions. IoT Hub routes device to cloud messages to functions via event hubs or service bus endpoints. Use event hubs trigger for high-throughput telemetry processing. Functions enrich, store, or forward messages. Use managed identity for secure access. Perfect for real-time IoT analytics or alerting. How do you use Azure DevOps from Functions? Call Azure DevOps REST APIs with managed identity or PAT stored in Key Vault. Trigger builds, create work items, update pipelines, or check status. Use timer or webhook triggers to automate DevOps tasks. Secure with Entra ID token or PAT rotation. Explain Data Lake integration. Use blob bindings for Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. It is fully compatible with Blob API. Use managed identity for secure access. No SAS tokens needed. Process files with blob trigger or input/output bindings. Ideal for big data pipelines, analytics, and large-scale storage workflows. What is Azure SQL binding? Azure SQL bindings allow input/output to SQL databases without manual SDK code. Input binding reads rows by query or ID at function execution time. Output binding inserts or updates rows automatically from function return values. Use managed identity for secure connection. No connection strings in config. How do you integrate with Power Automate? Functions call Power Automate flows via HTTP action to the flow endpoint. Power Automate triggers functions using HTTP request trigger. Use managed identity or SAS key for secure calls. Combine low-code flows in Power Automate with custom code in functions. Explain Azure Communication Services. Azure Communication Services enables chat, SMS, voice, video, and telephony from functions. Use SDK or REST API with managed identity for secure access. Send SMS notifications or start chat sessions from triggers. Ideal for real-time customer engagement or alerts. How do you use Azure Maps? Call Azure Maps REST APIs from functions using managed identity or key from Key Vault. Geocode addresses, calculate routes, render maps, or get traffic data. Return results to clients or store in database for further processing. Use for location-based workflows or IoT device tracking. How do you secure integrations? Use managed identities for all Azure to Azure calls. Eliminate secrets entirely. Enable private endpoints and VNet integration to keep traffic off the public internet. Validate input, tokens, and claims in code or with Easy Auth. Monitor integrations with Defender for cloud and application insights alerts. Best practices for Azure service integrations. Prefer managed identities for all Azure service access. Never store keys or connection strings. Use bindings when available. They simplify code, improve performance, and handle errors. Enable private endpoints and VNet integration for production workloads. Monitor integrations with application insights. Set alerts for failures or latency. Test integrations end-to-end. Mock services in development environments. Keep payloads small. Use references, blob URLs, IDs, for large data. Document each integration pattern clearly for team reuse and maintenance. Thank you for watching this complete guide to Azure Functions integration with Azure services, from storage and Cosmos DB to Logic Apps, Event Grid, Signal R, and best practices. If this session helped you with certifications, interviews, or building real-world Azure solutions, please like, share, and subscribe to ZoomInData. More Azure deep dives are coming soon. Stay connected and keep learning. Thank you. See you in the next video.